This is Still Here Hollywood's 10-Minute Takes, bite-sized chapters of our favorite chats with the stars. I'm Steve Kmetko. Here's the 5th of 7 chapters with actor Steven Weber from Wings and Chicago Med.
Why not accept where we are and move forward as this unit? Now,
and be friends.
Well, yeah, we have always been friends, and more than friends. And I'm not making it sound like Dr. Zhivago, but I have to be realistic here, and I have to be respectful, and not be dripping with saccharine, lovey-dovey stuff. Again, trying to. I think that's kind of a reflection of where I am after many years of being kind of callow and thoughtless and superficial in many areas, still having fun, still hopefully being likable and empathetic. But this is something different. So, yeah, I'm spoken for, and I guess it's hard. It's hard to be personal in a world that kind of cleans its claws on vulnerability. So I have to watch myself here in a way.
Would you get married again?
I mean, it's something that I've come to believe. Marriage, that it's misunderstood when most people do it, and yet it's inculcated into our society. It's something that you're supposed to do. I don't need to get married. I don't need to have a piece of paper. I need to understand what it's like to be with somebody and to honor them and to have an honest relationship. And these are things that in many ways have eluded me over the years, but which I'm now able to face, I think more honestly, however imperfectly. Would I get married? I mean, it's just it's too easy. Marriage and parenthood are things that people do all the time. The culture celebrates it, but I don't think they really understand what the hell it means to do that stuff. You shouldn't get married before you're 45, and you shouldn't have kids before you're 50. And those are kind of, biological impossibilities in a way. But the wisdom, it turns out, that one needs to embark on either of those commitments is, I think, beyond a lot of people who haven't lived that much life. I mean, like that's a grotesque generalization, but that's why I'm here.
You're doing a good job,
aren't I? Generally speaking.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right. That's real.
Tell me about, you've worked with some really big people like Mel Brooks, for example. Who gave you the best piece of advice? A piece of advice that you might pass on to someone else?
Right. Well, first of all, I would never, even though I may have gotten some acting advice, I myself would never give acting advice to somebody because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But the one thing that was told me, I don't know if it was by Mel, because Mel at one point while I was doing the producers really told me to kind of tone it down, which was shocking to me. Because it's such a broad piece, right? Such a broad show. But even I was just too big for Mel Brooks. So to tone it down, it was hard for me to do. I think I did pretty much. But I can't remember who told me this, but they said, be nice. Nobody's forced to work in this industry. It's not only a good thing tactically to be nice to the PA or to the intern or to the first, second, third, fourth AD, because the way this industry works, in 3 years or 5 years, you'll be begging that person for work. But also, one thing I've learned later on is you get what you give. What you put out comes back to you. And the idea of being nice to somebody rather than being dismissive or rolling one's eyes, or which is very hard to do on social media. I find myself drawn into really terrible kind of arguments with complete strangers instead of backing away or just kind of taking a breath and being nice if they want to engage. So that's really the best advice I've gotten in this particular industry, and the only thing that I would pass on to somebody else is I've seen it work. It's worked for me. I see it work for other people. It's admirable if somebody like Barbara Streisand is being nice to your sister, to Rebecca Kmetko. If Babs is being nice to Rebecca, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make a shtick out of that. That's great and carries so much with it. That's really the only thing that I think I'm capable of credibly passing on to somebody. That and chlamydia. Good night, everybody.
Was it actually canceled? I can't remember that.
I think Wings, I think it was mutually agreed upon by the producers and the studio that that would be about it. I mean, we'd gone almost 8 seasons. And while I think it wasn't doing as well as it had, although ironically, probably in its lowest rating would probably beat a hit show today, a streamer, numbers-wise. I just know that it was coming to an end, and everybody kind of had tacitly agreed that this is what was going to happen. And it was interesting because when it ended, I guess we all thought, okay, now what? Because 8 years is a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's a long time for a TV show. At the time, it was one of the longest sitcoms ever to have run. Now it's probably been surpassed by a lot of shows, but at the time it was probably in the top 10 shows in the history of television in terms of its longevity. I think that I assumed that I would work more, and I was proven right, but not necessarily in things that were good after that. I thought I was, king shit in a way, and by that I thought I was, all right, this is, I really established myself on this show, and what's next for me? And in a way, I was treated like that. I was treated by my representatives who saw a possibility of going to a next level. And I was, in fact, given the opportunity to do my own show, which I did almost a season of. And this was called originally Cursed. It was on NBC, and it was with me and Chris Elliott, Wendell Pierce. It was a kind of a mess. It was kind of a mess.
So what were you thinking the morning after Wings ended?
Well, in a way, I was too young to think deeply about the future. I thought this is the way it's always going to be. I've reached this rhythm, this pitch of how to work, and I would always be at this level. I was deceiving myself because I kind of maintained it for a little while, but without the quality of the writing and of a show like Wings, I was adrift a little bit. But still, I was able to find good jobs. I was on a show called Once and Again. I did guest spots in some movies and stuff. But at the same time, I have to say the cast of Wings was fairly, like I said earlier, humble. They're fairly realistic. It's hard not to get infected by the affirmation and the success that you experience. But by the same token, I always told myself that I'm just a regular guy, and I'm gonna try to do some theater and just keep acting. So I wasn't depressed necessarily, but you learn some valuable lessons when you're not on must-see TV anymore. And
To watch the next chapter, click the box. To listen, just stay tuned.